everyone, and welcome to our SESI Talks, which are part of the WEP project of SESI, the workers and the European Parliament. Today we have Mr. Cyrus Engerer, MEP. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So this project is about acknowledging people and workers, as well as citizens, about the actions of the European Parliament, which is very important because there is a lot of things that we're actually doing to improve our society, our community, and the conditions of workers all around the member states. Today, I'm very happy because we are actually talking about an important topic. We all know that, especially in time of crisis, the weaknesses of a society are usually highlighted. And because of this, it is important to increase our fight against discrimination. Everybody in the European Union and in the world in general should be and feel safe and free to be themselves. We're talking about the new LGBTIQ equality strategy. And you've been appointed as the lead negotiator for this very important resolution. Can you tell us about the plenary debate in November that took place in November?
So yes, in November, we had the first debate on the European strategy that is being proposed by the European Commission that will come up with the strategy, the LGBTIQ strategy for Europe, basically. It's the first time that the European Union is venturing into having a strategy. And from this strategy, we'll have a number of legislative acts that will come out that will be aimed at improving the life of those citizens in the European Union who identify themselves as LGBTIQ. However, it should not stop with the LGBTIQ community. In reality, all workers, all human beings, all citizens in the European Union should be free to live their lives, whoever they are, whoever they love, irrespective of the color of their skin, what they believe or what they do not believe, which party they identify or feel comfortable with. Everyone should be given equal rights. And this strategy addresses this issue and will be addressing a number of problems that people go through in their daily lives simply because they are LGBTIQ. For instance, currently in the European Union, we have a problem because if I am, let's say, I am a worker in Malta and I am married with my husband and maybe we have children or not, we unfortunately are not able to move into a number of other member states for our job to continue if we need for our employment purposes to go to another member states, because some member states still do not recognize the marriage between two people of the same sex. Some member states do not recognize rainbow families as a family unit. Some member states do not give rights to transgender people or intersex people. Some member states simply ignore LGBTIQ community totally, including the fact that, for instance, in Poland, we have seen a number of cities saying that you cannot be LGBTIQ in those cities. So you have to suppress your sexuality, suppress your sexual orientation, suppress your gender identity. These are things which are unacceptable. And this strategy will be addressing, amongst many other things, the mutual recognition of rainbow families across the European Union, which is important not only for the citizen himself, but for the citizen as a worker, as an employee, with his fundamental freedoms and rights of the European Union, which are not being able to be guaranteed to him. Because these people, we do not have currently the freedom to move to all member states in this European Union and have our rights preserved and feel safe in all member states in the European Union.
Exactly, and as you said, Mr. Engerer, here we are talking about fundamental rights of each single person, human being, regardless of orientation, regardless of color of the skin. I mean, as long as we do not hurt anybody, we should never be discriminated as a human being.
Exactly.
Because our actions are what define human being. It shouldn't be anything else. And I think we could say that now it is finally the time when European institutions stop putting a blind eye towards these issues. And because it is important to build a more equal and welcoming society, especially for even in the workplace, as you said. I mean, it is important in every aspect of our society, and I think it would be a milestone for the declaration of the EU as a LGBTIQ freedom zone.
Yes, we have as a European Parliament, and I was here the lead negotiator for the S&D group on the European Union being an LGBTIQ freedom zone. What does this mean? This means that every citizen, every person should be free to be whoever he, she, or they are in the European Union, in all member states of the European Union, in all regions, in all cities, in all towns and villages. You can be whoever you are. And this came after what I mentioned earlier on, what happened in Poland and what's happening in Hungary, where a number of municipalities are starting to come up with this idea that people should not be LGBTIQ within their communities, within their municipalities, as if a person can just switch off whoever he is and be something else, someone else, not the real person. And as a European Parliament, we felt the need to speak strongly about this, to give, first of all, courage to all those citizens in these municipalities that are undergoing a huge trauma, not being able to be who they are, not feeling safe in their own homes, in their own towns and cities. And we want to show these people and tell these people that they are not alone. The European Parliament is with them, and we have resolved that the European Union is a freedom zone for all LGBTIQ people, where you can be whoever you are, wherever you live in the European Union. This is a very bold statement that we have made, and will not stop here. We will continue to see that each citizen in our union can be whoever they are, because that is fundamental. It's if we had to see fundamental human rights, being whoever you are, however you are born, there's nothing more fundamental than that. And we want to ascertain that in our union, which is based on the values of democracy, of human rights, of freedom, everyone will have these values protected so that they can live their lives.
Exactly, and I think it is very important, and now we're taking a clear, bold stand. And obviously, us as a trade union, we represent workers, and we care also about the people that are approaching the workplace. And what are the value? I mean, let's stress out the value of these initiatives in the inclusions of the members of the LGBTIQ community into the labor market, because we do know that because of discriminations, sometimes for them it's hard to keep a job if they have one, to stay in the job, to not be discriminated and not feel safe in their own workplace, and also to actually get a job because they might be discriminated in the first hand. So I think it is important to stress out the value of these initiatives.
Yes, you mentioned a very important point. We pride ourselves as European Union to have legislation that does not allow discrimination at the workplace, and that is very important. And we need to see that that is enforced all the time, and that everyone can feel comfortable at their place of work, whoever they are. However, I think we need to go further as a European Union. We have had a number of years in which people who are LGBTIQ have been bullied at their schools, for instance, have gone through under immense mental health pressures because of the way that they were treated by other teens, for instance, at schools, universities, colleges. And this would have had an impact on even the qualifications that these people would have gotten from educational institutions. So we need to tackle bullying, we need to tackle the mental health of everyone, but especially with regards to LGBTIQ people. It is a reality that a big number of suicides, for instance, in our countries is from teens, young people who are LGBTIQ and who are firstly maybe not accepted at their homes, secondly not accepted at their schools or by their friends or by their colleagues at work, or else not accepted by their country, by their state, by their cities, by their municipalities. And it is for these reasons that we need to make sure that we have legislation that gives these people a safe space where they can talk, where they can be who they are, where they can express themselves. And at the end of the day, having a strong mental health will lead these people to be even stronger workers at our workplaces all across the union. So this is a chain. One thing links to another. And it is important that we see this in a holistic manner to address issues from childhood that will continue throughout the education process of that person, and then that transitions towards the person's work, employment, and the rest of the person's lives. Unfortunately, I have seen so much bullying, especially, for instance, against trans people who have been bullied all throughout their childhood, that they end up not having the necessary qualifications that their peers would have gotten throughout their scholastic years in order to get good and decent jobs. We must address this from the core. And I think that what we are doing in the European Parliament at the moment will give that hope to these people. At the end of the day, I come from a country, Malta, the smallest member state of the European Union, which till 7 years ago was the worst performer when it came to civil rights and the rights of LGBTIQ people. But we have turned our country from zero to hero, the European hero for LGBTIQ rights. And I think that this gives us hope that we can do this in all other member states of the European Union. If we have done it in my country, we can do it elsewhere. And what I want to do, my passion is to bring what we have done in Malta and extend it to the rest of the European Union.
Absolutely. And I think us as a trade union, we actually can play we can be a key player in that chain that you were talking about, because we represent workers regardless of their orientation, of their gender. We represent workers because they are human beings who needs to be valued and should not be discriminated. And I think a job as a trade union is also to protect the vulnerable.
Exactly.
Workers, and obviously, so this is very important. The job that you're doing is very important. So we're going to obviously help the European Parliament to bring light to this issue, to promote these initiatives, and to include more and more people, and to in the society to feel free and safe to be who they want to be. So with this, obviously, I thank you, Mr. Angerer, for your work, and obviously we're going to keep in touch. To see how the initiatives move on. And thank you very much for your work.
Thank you very much. And let's work on this together, because we can achieve great results together.